Kings, queens, and internet cousins, what is up? I came yesterday and I told you guys that I had started that book, Framed by John Grisham. And oh my God, I finished the first chapter and it is so dead on to what happened to Bryan Kohberger. Like, I was physically in shock when I read it, okay? They literally said this was the first story in the book is the Norfolk 4. There was a woman who was unalived inside of her home by one man, okay? The man had a crazy past, violent history, but somehow someone said, oh, well, I got a bad feeling about her neighbor. The neighbor was at home, had an alibi the entire night, was in bed with his wife with cancer. They took him in for interrogation and had him in the room for 11 hours. And finally, they had implanted so many thoughts into his mind, he confessed to the crime, but he never committed it. So wait, there's more. They do the DNA test that comes back a few weeks later, and the DNA of the semen or all of the rest of the stuff, no DNA matched this man. Instead of them saying, maybe he really didn't do it since he had an alibi and none of the DNA matches, they decided that he had an accomplice. They arrest the second guy. 6 weeks go by, DNA comes back. Oh, it's not his DNA either. They arrested 8 different people for this crime. Dan Williams, the first one, did 11 years in prison. His wife died of cancer, all over a crime he never committed. Years later, Omar Ballard, which the suspect they arrested was white, and it said that the DNA said the semen was 20 times more likely to have come from a black man than a white man, right? Omar Ballard admits completely to the unaliving of Michelle Bosco, and still they didn't believe it. They arrested him too, kept the other people arrested, and decided it was a gang-related thing. Something was going on, and Omar Ballard was the ringleader of these 8 Navy sailors who all met up to just sexually assault and hurt this woman. And the crazy thing is, he admitted there was nobody else with him at the crime, but Dan Williams did 11 years in a federal prison and was eventually given a full pardon. At first, just a half pardon because they didn't want to pay him back. They were ended up awarded $8.3 million. And some of them none of them had anything to do with the crime. If they would have listened to Omar Ballard off the rip, they would have known that he was the one who did it. The DNA matched him conclusively, only him, and they still tried to keep these 10 other men arrested. So yeah, it's pretty insane. I want to come back a little bit later and read an excerpt out of the book that I found. I will, I uploaded a few pages if you guys go back on my profile, but it's insane. You guys have to read Framed by John Grisham. It's an account of like 13 different stories of people who were falsely imprisoned and later exonerated. And when I tell you this is exactly what I believe happened to Bryan Kohberger, I mean that with my whole heart. Do you know how many people go to prison for crimes that they didn't commit because the interrogations are so crazy? And what's crazier is back when this happened, they by law didn't have to record the entire interrogation, so none of it was recorded where they were implanting all these thoughts into these guys' heads. And then guess what? Boom. Plot twist. The interrogating cop ended up going to prison for extortion. He extorted somebody for 88 grand. He was making the snitches give him $1 grand and basically paying snitches to say, yeah, I'm a jailhouse snitch and this guy blamed this guy and he's the real. He went to prison for like 12 years, dude. So yeah, corruption is real. And if you ever read a book in your life, please let it be Framed by John Grisham and free Bryan Kohberger. Love you, bye.